All right, folks, Friday Night Blitz Media Days in the house. We're getting you ready for the 2023 season and shining the spotlight on the Altavista Colonels. Joining me right now, the head coach in his first year with the Colonels, of course. We got Matt DeLoach and Coach DeLoach. Thank you for being on Friday Night Blitz Media Days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Well, Coach, your first year as a head football coach, now that you've kind of been in the role a few months, has it sunk in? Any surprises? Any things that have kind of got you being a first-year head football coach?
No, it hasn't sunk in. Being a head coach is not new. I was a head track coach for a few years. So being over a program, I'm comfortable with that. But with football, it's a little different. It's fast-paced, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different personalities dealing with. But so far I've enjoyed it. So.
And then over looking at your history, you played football over at Heritage and Jefferson Forest.
Yes, sir.
You walked on it for the Liberty Flames.
Yes, sir.
You were an assistant at Jefferson Forest, Appomattox under Coach Smith over there, of course. Then you were an assistant with the Colonels as a quarterback, linebacker, defensive coordinator. You spent a year last year at Rockbridge County under Coach Martin Cox.
Yes, sir. And
now you're back down here. I'm sure when you look at it, it's kind of easy. You do have familiarity with the program, considering the fact you were assistant coach here for a few years.
Yeah, the kids. I know the kids. There's some new guys that I haven't worked with, but I think being in this different role, I think it's going to be pretty good for me, especially moving forward. I definitely enjoy it.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of tradition when it comes to Altavista, but last year went 1-9. The program 1-9. They lost 10 of their last 11 games. Been a few years since they've been in the playoffs and a winning season, which, when you look at this program's success, something that they're used to winning. But what do you feel you can do to kind of switch it around and get back to the winning ways?
The thing about it is, the tradition is there. I think just doing a couple things that I'm comfortable with, just putting in what I do. I think that for me, being real with what I do, and then being real with the kids, and they understand what I'm trying to get, and explaining the why. If I give them a why, I think they'll understand how to do any kind of how. So I think giving them the proper motivation. I think that'll get us back into those ways.
How do you feel the players are responding to you? Because obviously, being a first-year head football coach, again, you have experience being a head coach.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel the players are responding to buying into what you want them and your assistants want them to do?
At the beginning, it wasn't good. I think they kind of didn't, understand exactly what we were going for. But then I think now, really we're trying to go after an overall leadership kind of an outlook. And I think the buy-in is happening. Today we just came from off-season conditioning this morning. The buy-in's there, so I think it's going to be good.
You mentioned your experience. You do have head coaching experience, but not as a football coach. What advice have you gotten from other head football coaches and experience with them?
Don Rice, he was my coach when I was at Jefferson Forest High School, and he was the head coach at Jefferson Forest when I got into coaching. He told me, hire good people. People that you can, have around you that understands, what you're going for, like understanding our why. And then, being with Martin Cox, which was probably the best thing that's happened to me in a long time as a man. He showed me, he's been a father figure. Same thing with Don Rice. He's been a father figure to me, a mentor. I think having him and him teaching me the ropes, I think it prepared me for this. So.
And Coach Cox, Martin Cox, he has spoke very highly of you. He has a lot of respect for you, and he's happy to see what you're doing now, your success. Kind of interesting, Andy Cox was head coach, and last year you were on Martin Cox, so it's kind of a slight collection. I don't think they're related, obviously, but if they are, hey, nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
But when you look at your schedule overall, Coach, year in, year out, it's a strong schedule, especially in that Dogwood. Just your thoughts about it as a whole. Your bye week comes about the fourth week, so near the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. So just your thoughts about that, because you start off the season at Lunenburg Central. Yeah,
well, Lunenburg, they run that double wing, so it's going to be constant. No matter if they're up or they're down, it's going to be constant. The Dogwood's tough. The first time I got a taste of the Dogwood when I went to Appomattox. I was in the Seminole for years, and the Seminole is no joke. But I think with the Dogwood, it's the same thing. I think from top to bottom, the teams are going to play each other hard. They're going to play each other tough. And even our out-of-district schedule is pretty tough. We got Perry McClure on the schedule and Prince Edward on the schedule and Lunenburg. Those are some pretty solid opponents. So.
Now, Coach, when you look at your team, who are some of the guys we should have our eyes on and guys that will make a difference for your team?
I've got a couple of them here. Javelin Irvin, who I have really put a lot of a lot on for leadership. I think, you know, and I've talked to a lot of these kids. You know, if these kids just lead, people will follow them. And this kid, Javelin Irvin, I think if he just chooses to lead, people will follow him. Jordan Pippen, he's coming up. This will be his 4th year as a starter. You know, he as a freshman, he's played for a little while, and hopefully, you know, we can get him to the right place that he needs to be. And I think, you know, we've got another one. He's a sophomore, Jamari Slayton. I think I'm gonna give him some leadership roles, and you know, we'll see what these kids do with it and how they run with it. So.
And Coach, that speaks for itself. You got guys, you putting the young guys in leadership roles. That's
Yes, sir.
big time. Now, Coach Matt DeLoach, you've played on the Friday Night Lights. You've been a coach, an assistant, now going to be a head coach. But for you personally, Coach, Matty D, I'm gonna call you.
I got you.
What does Friday nights in the fall mean to you, sir?
It's, you know, it gives these kids a chance to, you know, we talk about sports. It's an outlet. You know, it's an outlet from life. You know, and it kind of puts you in places that you wouldn't normally be. You know, you're able to lead in certain things in high pressure situations, and it just gives these kids a chance to make the world a better place, even if it's through high school sports. You know, and I think, you know, the world in the state that it's in, I think if we can give these kids something different, you know, something where they feel like they're in a leadership role, they can change the world. And you know, my life, somebody like Martin Cox, somebody like Don Rice, they did the same thing for me. You know, gave me that clarity where I can change the world. You know, I think that's what these kids need. So.
And finally, as we get closer and closer to it, how fired up, excited are you? Because I can tell you're ready. If we could start the games tomorrow, we probably could.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, no, I'm excited. I am, and you know, I think the community is excited as well, and I think these kids are excited, and you know, I can't wait to get rolling. So.
Coach, pleasure meeting you.
Absolutely.
And
Likewise.
seeing you,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Good
Yes, sir.
luck. And because, you know, you Matt DeLoach, you Matty D. Coach Matty D.
I appreciate
Getting
that.
things done for the Altavista Colonels as they get their season going. On August the 25th, they're at Lunenburg Central as we continue our Friday Night Blitz Media Days, getting you ready for the 2023 football season.